Now let me show you the entry that the zone trader will give you. It'll trigger under the following conditions. The moving average, our boss, must have, in the case of a sell, must be either yellow or red. Let me just change colors here. The occasion that we use, which is this one here, that must be red to be in the sell position. Then down here we have what we call the zone histo. I'll just mark it here. What we have here is 7 squares. The orange ones. Orange is for sell, light blue is for a buy. The red ones here don't mean anything. Okay? So to have a sell, we must have the trigger or the signal within these 7 bars. And then below that we have what we call the zone signal. This must correspond to the sell, in this case red, or if it was a buy, it would be blue. Okay? Sorry, give a tick. And then down here, and I want to make this very clear, we have what we call the slope average, which is this purple line you see here. Now, behind that, this indicator here is called the TMA slope indicator. And we only have a trigger when these bars are yellow. Any other color bar and the zone trader will not trigger. These blue bars are set, these yellow bars are set to a particular number, which you can see in the settings. Now the other thing that's very important, so first of all we must have this slope in the direction of the trade. So a slope downwards, or this purple line, is a sell. This over here, this bluish line, that's a buy, or a buy direction. Now the other important thing, let me just rub this out. The other important thing, and I've added, as you can see, I have added a grey box here, a grey box. And that box at the moment is set at 0.25 and minus 0.25, just to explain this. When we have here, we have our signal. Now this bar here, okay, or this line here, must have come from this grey area, from between 0.25 and minus 0.25 to have a valid trigger. At the moment, the zone trader does not differentiate this here, so you have to eye that yourself, and just to make sure that the slope is coming from this grey area. Now that is basically the sell trigger. I'll go through a buy trigger a little bit later, but let me just show you what I mean by this grey area. Let me show you a trade or a signal that, let me just get rid of there we go. Now let me give you an example of a trigger that zone trader would trigger or signal. And it's this one here on the 28th at 5:22. We can see here that our moving averages in the sell position. Our Cajun is red. We have the orange here. We have the red here. We have the yellow bar. And look here, we have this little shade of purple. And that means that the zone trader will trigger, but it's not a trade. You see that this purple, or the slope, has come from here. Yeah, it must come from within this grey area, from 0.25 to minus 0.25. And of course you'll just eye that up, you don't have to measure that. Near enough is close enough, but obviously here you can see that it's coming from the wrong direction. what we would have preferred to have seen is for this here slope average to have come up through there and then gone down. I didn't draw that very well, did I? Let me just redraw that. What we would prefer to have seen, in fact what we would have to have seen, and let me just draw it like this. So pen, so it comes up, so it comes up, comes up, comes up, and then it begins to turn. Now we're in the grey area, and then it turns down. It turns down. So in this case would have a valid trade. That is not a valid signal. In a later one of the next versions, we'll try and program this rule so you don't have to worry about it, but at the moment you need to pay particular attention to make sure that the slope is coming from this area here. So I hope that's a help to you. In another example, I'll show you a buy signal.